right, Shalom Akim. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai, and double honors to the elders and apostles who taught us his truth. And peace, blessings, and salutations to the hopeful elect, the brothers that are putting this work in truthfully and sincerely. To you, I say Shalom. All right, so this is Samat coming with another lesson. A little entrance. I just got off the plantation. I had to do a little bit of fucking overtime, but you know, it's all goody. But you know, I was in a spirit earlier, and I came across this post, and I'm sure some of you brothers may have seen it, but it was going into how a member of Sakari has his own personal website, and he was offering services, right? He's now offering services, right? Obviously, for monetary purposes, right? So, you know, he's offering services in exchange for FRNs. You know, I don't want to say money because it clearly ain't money, but FRNs, right? And, you know, he's charging people for things that pertaineth unto the spirit. So you got a lot of guys who do this work for vain reasons, like I always say, right? This is why you have to be a spiritual man, and you have to judge things by the spirit. You can't look at things from face value. You can't look at how brothers present themselves in terms of how they dress, you know, the glorious garments and signs, and you know, the perception that they put out on the surface level. You have to look at their actions and the things that they do that pertain up to the truth, that you're going to be able to make a sound observation or judgment of that particular man or that particular organization. And I'm not going to sit here and say all of Sakari, because it was only one man, but Sakari is notorious for doing things very carnally. You know, they're notorious for doing things that aren't necessarily spiritual. You know, and there's a number of things. We don't have to sit there going into it. If you know, you know, right? And ironically, this particular Sakari member, you know, I actually know. He's actually from the Philadelphia area. You know, I've actually had quite a few conversations, run-ins with that brother years back. And then Sakari took a turn to a whole nother direction. They pivoted to a whole different direction. And you know, it is what it is. But Matthew 10, right? Actually, before I get into that, let's talk about the services that are offered. You know, I could have did a lesson and, you know, showed the screen, but if you brothers have seen it, you've seen it. If you didn't, just visualize this. It was a Twitter post, and he basically was just breaking down his services, and he put screenshots of his website and the stuff that he's offering. And he was offering prayer services, $25 a prayer. They would take the prayer, whatever prayer you're requesting, they'll translate it to the Hebrew, and then they'll email it to you, right? Another service they're offering, Hebrew name consultations, $15 per name. Not $15 for the family, but $15 per name. So he's charging $15 a pop. So if you want a name, right, a Hebrew name for yourself, your wife, and your 2 children, you gotta come up $60, man. You gotta come out of pocket $60 for the man to help you get a Hebrew name. And then another service that was offered was counseling. You know, whether it was personal or marriage counseling, $75. charging men money for things that should be given for free. Now let's jump into the scriptures from the Lord Adawan himself, Yahweh Shai. Matthew 10, starting at verse 7 and going to verse 9. And I'm paraphrased, but he said, he was talking to the disciples and those that are apostles that were sent away. And are we not doing the work of the disciples and apostles, right? We are going out and we're teaching and we're edifying, we're bringing forth fruit, right? We're feeding the sheep. And he said, go, bring forth fruit, heal the sick, cleanse the lepers, cast out devils, raise the dead, all these different things, right? Basically, go ahead and heal my people and teach them this word, right? And bring them to the light and give them good things. And it says, at the very end of verse 8, it says, freely have ye received, freely shall ye give. Very simple. Ye have received this truth freely, so therefore ye ought to give this truth freely. And in the very next verse, it says, take neither gold nor silver or brass in your purse. So don't sit here and merchandise the truth. I understand brothers have to make money, make a living. And yes, you can merchandise certain things to the body. Everything doesn't have to be given out for free. But there are some things that are not to be merchandised. And the word is one of them. Anything that pertaineth to the word. Now, if you want to sell garments, you want to sell Hebrew Israelite attire, or whatever the case is, by all means, you can charge that. Brothers will support you, because it's not necessary for somebody to buy a shirt with, whatever, the Hebrew on it, or a hoodie with the 10 Commandments on the back, or whatever. You know what I mean? It's not necessary. It's not a requirement. Those are dainties, luxuries. So granted, if you want to merchandise that, and if people want to buy it, by all means, you're offering a product. Or if you're offering a service, let it be something that is not pertaining to the truth. Maybe you can start a business, a consulting business on helping brothers with their credit, helping brothers with manage their money, doing brothers' taxes, help brothers start businesses. If you want to merchandise that, that's okay, because now you're offering a service that takes time, energy, and it doesn't necessarily pertain to the truth at all. So these are just personal things. But you're talking about merchandising and profiting off of the word that ye got for free, and then you want to charge. They're not the only ones that does. IOIC was doing this at one point, charging for breakdowns, and this is fucking crazy to me, man. How are you charging somebody for breakdowns? How are you charging somebody to come to Passover? Now, granted, if you want to petition brothers to, hey, if everybody could pitch in for the Passover, lamb and unleavened bread and herbs and different things like that, let it be that. And brothers give what they can give. If a brother can only give $5, he can only give $5. But if this brother can give $200 and he's willing to give it, let him give it. But you sit here charging people, $75 admission to the Passover. Like, come the fuck on, man. Per person. Now you got a man, he want to bring his two sons to the Passover. Now he got to come out of pocket, what? $225? It's fucking crazy, man. You want to raise money for the congregation? Well, hold a fundraiser. Ask brothers if they have anything to give. Ask them to give and let them know. Listen, this is what I'm raising money for. I'm trying to XYZ. You know what I mean? Money is just it's a defense. It's not something that really has much value. What we even have it's not even real money, right? But there's some things you just don't do, man. And as the scriptures say, there's some that labor, unjustly, if I'm not mistaken, right? You know, a lot of these guys are not in this truth for the right reasons. You know, they're in this truth for glory, for fame, for clout. You gotta, you know, and I'm a very observant person, right? I've always been a very laid back, you know, don't really say too much, you know, of course, unless I'm around, you know, the brothers and, you know, those that I trust, you know, that's when, you know, I'm a little bit outgoing, a little more outgoing. But even then, you know, I've always been a laid back, very to myself, observant, you know, don't really speak unless spoken to type of guy. And if there's one thing I can say, in my years coming up in this truth, I've observed certain guys and certain brothers, and through my own personal perception and discernment, I can tell that a lot of guys in this truth, and I'm just speaking plainly, I'm not throwing shots, I'm not scoffing or whatever, I'm just speaking plainly as a man from my own personal perception. A lot of guys in this truth were nobody in the world, right? At the end of the day, we are nobody, right? But what I mean is, I'm speaking plainly, a lot of guys were nobodies in the world. You know, they didn't have any type of like anything to take pride in, righteous pride, or anything to glory in, right? Maybe they didn't play any sports, they didn't really have a lot of friends, they didn't have any skills, they didn't have any, whatever the case is, right? So when they come into the truth, they look at it as an opportunity to make a name for themselves. And it's something that I can't necessarily explain in words. It's just something that I see in my spirit that I observe from certain guys. And it's not a lot. It's not a lot. It's very few. And there's even some guys that I thought when I was younger in the truth that I thought this way about. But then through the years and the months of watching these brothers, I've realized, okay, my discernment or my perception was off. I was wrong. This brother is sincere. And he grew, you know, because some guys are young. When you're young in this truth, you tend to be a little bit more of a parrot. You tend to be a little bit more of a quote unquote man pleaser, you know. But then the more seasoned you become in the truth, you start to just become into your own way, into your own man, right? And I, even myself, was sort of, kinda ish. My thing when I first came into the truth was just trying to be politically correct, you know, try not to offend. And when I say offend, I mean it in the manner of trying to appeal to everybody, right? So everybody can understand, when in reality, that's not what this truth is. This truth is, it's straightforward, it's cutthroat, it's to the point, and it's only for those who are going to get it. So I can only speak from a manner of what it is. And if you don't get it, or if it offends you, then take it up with the Lord, man. Take it up with Yahweh Shem Yahushua, you know. As long as I didn't say anything offensive, if I'm only speaking of the oracles of the word, and you're offended, well, that's the scripture. The scriptures are sharper than a two-edged sword, all right? But to circle back to the point, I kind of veered off for a second, but to circle back to the point, a lot of guys come into this truth, man, and they try to make a name for themselves, and they try to get glory and fame, and they try to get men to look up to them, and they want to be elders, and they want to be great men, renowned men. Now, granted, we're men. We all want to be glory. We all want glory. We all want fame. We all want power. We all want status. That's natural, you know. But it has to be genuine, right? It has to be authentic, and it has to be meaningful. Like, your glory and your honor should come from organic sources, organic events, organic natural experiences, not forced or you doing things for clout. You got a lot of guys on Instagram and social media that do things for clout, but it's really not who they are. A lot of these rappers and artists, they talk a good game, they talk all this shit. Oh, they be talking, oh yeah, I fucked 10 bitches last night, fucked a nigga bitch, da-da-da-da-da. Whole time they married, bro, faithful. But they talk a good game because they want clout, man. They talk about their cars and their jewels and the money and all this shit, but they don't. They rent the cars they drive. They talk about, oh, I paid cash for it, but they really leased it. Which, granted, that's the smartest thing to do. If all build, it's the smart shit to do. But they're feeding a certain perception to the people to make it seem like there's something that they're not. So you have the same concept in this truth where guys will be something that they're not, or maybe it's really who they are, and they're really wolves in sheep clothing, man. Prying on the people, man. Prying on the nation. Because now you got Jake think that they gotta support just because you an Israelite. Which, granted, we want to support our fellow Israelites, but some of these fellow Israelites just ain't right, bro. They just wicked, bro. They deceitful. They're vain. All right, they're workers of iniquity. They don't really have your best interest at heart. And that's why I'm gonna do another lesson on a topic that's kind of segue into that, basically going into proving a friend and not being just so open just because somebody claims they're an Israelite, right? I was reading through Sirach 37 earlier today, and I always quote a verse from there, verse 12, but I never actually really dove into the chapter until today, and it was very profound. So I'm a little willing to do a lesson on that tomorrow, or the next day. I got a couple things lined up, but you know, you got to prove these men's spirits. You know, just because they got fringes on and they preaching the word, or they saying, "Oh, Bashem Yahushai," you just can't take that for face value, man. By all means, we're very we offer that first impression, and we offer that benefit of the doubt, that grace, because you call on the name of the Lord and you claim to be an Israelite. But at the same time, as spiritual wise men and sisters too, we have to be on our toes at all. We have to be on our toes, and we have to be circumspect, and we have to discern all things, or else what? You'll get caught up in a snare, because there's always Judases out here in this world, man. Just because and I've had my personal experience with brothers who, you know, for lack of better terms, you know, try to, you know, cause envy and strife, and, you know, break my camp up and all different type of shit, man. A lot of stuff that I don't have to go into, but, you know, it's just experiences that I've personally gone through in this truth that have made me come to the knowledge and the discernment that I have today, and call Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Because even when you read in I think it's Sirach 36 or 35, it goes into how a man who travels has much experience, and he has much wisdom. So the more you travel, not even just travel outside the world or whatever, but just getting out there, you can look at it at face value. Getting out there, meeting new people, meeting new brothers, experiencing different spirits, you start to learn how to discern between a genuine spirit and a fake spirit. And man, listen, bro, me and the brothers, we in my camp, bro, we've been through some shit these last 6 years, man. You know, and call Yahweh Shem Yahushai, all things are a lesson, all things are stepping stones, and we've grown from them, we've learned, and it's given us the spirit of discernment and sincerity that we have. And one thing I can say about the brothers in my camp, we're very sincere, very genuine, very brotherly, very charitable. So when brothers come in and they treat us with envy and strife and manners and iniquity, bro, it's crazy, man. Yahweh Shah said, what you have done unto them, you have done unto me. But that's all I really got. Lord willing, this video was edifying to you brothers and sisters. Till next time, shalom.